Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. In the shadow of California's famous gold rush lies a forgotten chapter of American frontier history. In 1870, 2 decades after the legendary strikes at Sutter's Mill, and well after the massive fortunes of Nevada's Comstock lode had been made, most believed the golden age of prospecting had ended. But high in the mountains of San Diego County, a man kicking over a rock during a casual Sunday stroll would spark one of history's most peculiar gold rushes and forever change Southern California. In the late 1860s, San Diego remained California's forgotten city. Despite possessing what many considered the finest natural harbor on the West Coast and an excellent climate, San Diego had languished while northern cities prospered during the gold rush years. San Diego's prospects began to improve in 1867 when businessman Alonzo Horton arrived with vision and ambition, purchasing 960 acres of land for just 33 cents an acre. He began subdividing an entirely new town area, positioning San Diego to catch what he called the high tide of the Southern California boom. What San Diego truly needed, however, was its own gold strike. Local newspaper editors had for years claimed that gold awaited discovery in the nearby mountains, though most dismissed these as mere boosterism. In January 1869, the first traces of gold appeared on Mike Julian's ranch in the mountains, but these small finds hardly warranted attention. The true story begins on February 20th, 1870. A prospecting party led by N.C. Bickers had established camp on Julian's lands. During a Sunday stroll, one member accidentally kicked over a piece of quartz, revealing gold flecks that would change everything. The discovery created immediate excitement, though one party member, described as a disciplinarian about the Sabbath, refused even to look at the gold-flecked rock until Monday. When Monday arrived, despite rain, the men began to dig. By Tuesday, February 22nd, George Washington's birthday, they had extracted half a ton of rich ore and named their claim the Washington Mine. The miners immediately recognized their vulnerability. Their claim lay close to the boundary of the Cuyamaca Rancho, an old Mexican land grant with disputed borders. If the Cuyamaca owners learned of the strike, they might attempt to adjust their boundaries to encompass the mine, a genuine concern as similar situations had occurred elsewhere in California. The miners attempted to keep their discovery secret, but when that failed, they pivoted. Representatives would announce the discovery in San Diego and generate maximum excitement. When Bickers and his companion arrived in San Diego, they brought nearly a ton of gold-flecked rock, displaying samples in a shop window and sending the remainder to San Francisco for testing. The effect electrified San Diego. News spread like wildfire, and the streets were soon humming with activity. Within hours, a mass exodus from San Diego began as people grabbed mining tools and headed for the mountains. When the samples reached San Francisco and tested at $75 to $200 per ton, a very respectable yield, a second wave began. The Alta California newspaper published a glowing letter from a San Diego source. The steamer Oriflamme departed San Francisco on 12 hours' notice, jammed to the rails, with 150 eager prospectors who continued directly to the mountains upon landing. Soon, miners converged on Julian from all directions, from San Francisco by sea, from Los Angeles and San Bernardino by land. San Diego quickly positioned itself as the gateway to the mines, establishing an $8 per passenger stage line and beginning construction on a new, shorter road. Los Angeles also dispatched freight teams and established competing stage service, with the Los Angeles News even encouraging its fellow citizens to prepare to skin the gold seekers. Within weeks of the Washington mine discovery, the town of Julian was established, named after Mike Julian, on whose ranch the first gold had been found. Lots sold for $50 to $180, and by mid-March the population had exploded to 800 people. Life in early Julian embodied chaos. Eyewitnesses described the psychological state as positively wild with rational thinking unknown. Most miners lived in tents, with only a handful of log cabins representing the first permanent structures. Most slept directly on the ground and cooked over open campfires, while persistent rain created mud and the mountain elevation brought chilling temperatures. In April, a destructive windstorm struck the camp, destroying every tent and collapsing the general store. By June, violence had become problematic with 2 shooting incidents, including one man shooting a Chinese resident for pure entertainment. The community responded by forcing the shooter to ride for the brush under a hail of bullets. When horses began disappearing in late April, the miners took matters into their own hands. A man named Bob Crawford was discovered with a stolen saddle, and the Vigilance Committee hanged him once or twice until he confessed, then banished him from camp. The miners passed a formal resolution to hang the first man who shall commit a murder here, a threat that remained unused until 1874. Just as Julian was establishing itself, the owners of the Cuyamaca Rancho made a shocking announcement. The mines were on Cuyamaca land. They would allow mining to continue, but only if miners paid substantial royalties, so high that miners would keep less than half the returns. The Cuyamaca claim had a complicated history. Granted to Agustin Olvera in 1845 during the Mexican period, the U.S. Land Commission initially rejected the claim due to insufficient evidence. Olvera appealed and won, but the government's appeal was never pursued until the deadline expired. During the 1860s, the property changed hands, and the new owners requested an official boundary survey, coincidentally, just as gold was discovered. The timing proved disastrous for the miners. Work stopped on the main stamp mill, and machinery orders from San Francisco were canceled. The miners held a mass meeting attended by over 500 people and decided to resist, selecting a delegation to seek help from San Diego. San Diego, deeply concerned about losing its newly established mining trade, held a large public meeting where they examined the evidence for the Cuyamaca claim, characterized their opponents as land sharks, and committed to supporting the miners' cause. What followed was a protracted legal battle lasting years. The initial surveyor's report favored the Cuyamaca claim, but the miners remained determined to pursue court action, funding their legal fight with proceeds from the mines. The dispute dampened Julian's gold rush enthusiasm. The town's population never exceeded about 1,000, and many residents left for Tombstone, Arizona when that excitement began in the late 1870s. By 1887, Julian had been reduced to village status with only 2 stores and tri-weekly mail service. But the persistent miners eventually won their legal battle. The final settlement established the northern Cuyamaca line 7 miles south of Julian City, vindicating the miners' position after years of uncertainty. It was a remarkable victory for these working-class people with limited resources who took on wealthy landowners with political connections. With the legal cloud lifted, Julian and neighboring Banner experienced a renaissance. By 1890, 4 quartz mills were operating with a 5th under construction. The population returned to 1,000 by 1896, and hotels, churches, and schools were established, indicating permanent settlement. Perhaps most significantly, Julian began transforming from a mining camp to an agricultural community. The valley became a stockman's range, supporting 16,000 horses and cattle and approximately 10,000 sheep. Pioneer farming operations were established, and Julian began developing a reputation for specialty crops, particularly choice apple varieties, pears, and honey. By the time the gold ran out, Julian had produced an estimated $5 million worth, modest compared to other California gold regions but significant nonetheless. The impact on San Diego was transformative, providing the commerce and population increase it desperately needed and setting it on a path to becoming a major urban center. Today, Julian remains a charming mountain town known more for its apple pies than its mining history. But beneath its quaint exterior lies the story of a remarkable community born in gold fever, tested by harsh conditions and legal battles, and ultimately transformed into something entirely different than its founders imagined. The Julian Gold Rush may lack the name recognition of Sutter's Mill or the Comstock Lode, but for Southern California, it represented a pivotal moment that helped transform San Diego from a forgotten outpost into a thriving American city. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest Gold story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.